Hello, this is Andy Weinstein, host of What Are You Waiting For by GODOT. We are a podcast about motivating and entrepreneurship and basically what makes you do the things that you do. Today we have a very special guest. We have Shirley Zhong from Xatoms. Shirley, why don't you do a quick introduction of who you are and kind of what got you here?
Hi, Andy, and hi, everyone. My name is Shirley. A little bit about myself. I am the CEO at Xatoms, but how I got started is I grew up in Guangzhou, China, and growing up, I still remember that having diarrhea when I drank a water that looks clear to me, but it was actually contaminated with E. coli. I was sick for almost an entire month, and that moment is where I realized that I want to dedicate my life of solving the water problem. I then immigrated to Canada with my family. I studied software engineering and business and continue to develop my skills. And as a new grad, I then went on joining Xatoms and starting a water company.
That is great. Thank you so much. I'm a mentor of Xatoms, and we're really excited to have her because she and her team are just absolute rock stars. Shirley, why don't you give us a quick introduction of
Xatoms, what we do is we use AI and quantum chemistry to discover new materials to purify water. And currently, we have discovered 8 materials, eliminating pollutants from bacteria like E. coli to chemicals like DDT, pesticides, as well as herbicides, as well as heavy metals. And with these 8 materials, we can already eliminate 3.5 million deaths every year in the world. I got introduced to my co-founders on a trip, and we become really good friends, and I eventually joined the team at Xatoms.
That's great. So let's take a step back growing up in China and how that influenced kind of you to get into water purification. And I want to kind of explore a little bit of kind of where did you come from? What was it in China that made you say, I need to get into water purification?
I think there was 2 things. One of first is we never really drink from the tap in China, that we always get bottled water and purchase like bottled water in the communities. That is being the norm. It is mostly affordable, but it is still kind of inconvenient to having to get bottled water. And the cultural shock really came to me is when my family immigrated to Canada, that people just drink straight from the tap. And that's my first time realizing that tap water could be drinkable as well. And that and really brought like a cultural shock to me. But also on the other side, the second aspect to it is the industrial water treatment waste going down into the river. I grew up in Guangzhou, and the river that we settle by is called Zhujiang. And my grandparents used to tell me the story where when they were young, they used to swim in the river, play around the river, as well as boating across the river is like very often to have a lot of activity around the river. But nowadays, other than just you hop onto a recreational boat and maybe have like a boat cruise, there's not many people that will actually swim in it or actually play around with the water because of the pollution there. So kind of the contrast brought me looking closer into water pollution, what is causing it, how can we mitigate it, and how can we fix it to just, to make a better place.
Makes total sense. I can imagine the culture shock of going from China to Canada. How old were you when you went?
I was 12, so I was quite young, but I think I have like a good experience of both worlds.
Yeah, it's funny. So I moved from Oakland to Seattle when I was 12, and
Uh-huh.
and I had a different type of situation as I moved from a very diverse network and culture to a
Hmm.
very a very not diverse or not as diverse relative
Hmm.
to the other parts of the US it was, but it was like one of these experiences where you're like, "Oh, huh, I guess I have come from a unique experience that have given me a unique insight." And it sounds like for you, growing up in an area where you used to hang out in the water and not be able to even drink the tap water, but it was like a social activity. Nowadays, both of those things are not really there. Have you
Hmm.
been back and is the water still undrinkable from the tap?
I think it's like there's two things to it. It's like the water from the tap, it just doesn't have like a good taste to it. For the water there, yes, I did have gone back, and it just there's a very heavy like chlorine dosage in the water to eliminate like the bacteria in it. But with that's one of the solutions that Xatoms could probably mitigate as well, because with the use of Xatoms solutions, you can reduce the dosage of chlorine to need the need to eliminate the bacteria. But yeah, it just doesn't. Is it clean? It probably is. Does it taste good? Probably not.
Yeah. Well, as somebody who has a water company, I understand that taste does matter, even in water.
Mhm.
So tell me about kind of what you studied and kind of how the genesis of this entire kind of process, because you obviously studied at school and you're a recent grad, right?
Yes.
And so tell me kind of what were you studying, and is that where you met your coworkers, or were you studying, you graduated, and then you met your coworkers? Tell me that timeline.
Yeah, so I studied software engineering and I did a dual degree in business administration. So I hold both an engineering and a business degree. So that gave me kind of a good perspective of how does like the AI and also the quantum chemistry algorithms work at Xatoms for discovery of the new materials, but also enables me to actually translate our product into sales and into actual business operations and really scaling it over the past year. But how I met my co-founders is a very interesting story. We met in university, but through a fellowship program called the Cambridge Fellowship. And this program encourages students to go anywhere in Asia and intern in Asia for a summer. So you are given $10,000 and you are basically thrown into an Asian country to figure it out because they don't assign you to a job, you need to find your own job. So I chose Japan as my destination. And coincidentally, one of my co founders also chose Japan, Tokyo, and even more of a shock that we end up landing in the same company, in the same startup. It was by pure coincidence. We did not know about it until our HR kind of messaged both of us and be like, hey, you two are the two interns that we're onboarding over the summer. So that was super fun.
Oh,
So
so
we spent like a
yeah, so just let me get just a quick clarification. So basically, you guys were part of a program called Cambridge. Is that what you said?
it's called Cambridge.
Cambridge. And that's basically was a program for you to get a job in a foreign country
Yeah,
like Japan, and you just
yeah.
randomly were assigned the same company, or
No,
you
we
randomly applied, and did you know that your future co-founder would be at this applying to the same company, or was it?
No, not at all. It's not assigned or anything. It's like we all like individually apply to companies. So like we somehow ended both in the same startup in Tokyo, and it's a small startup in for like around only like less than 20 people. So it's really funny, but that also shows that we think alike. So and eventually, so we got connected, and then we also got connected to another fellow that was in Tokyo at the time, through the same program, and became really good friends from there. And then the year after, we started X Atoms.
That's amazing. So that's can you give the name of your co-founders?
Yeah, so our dear CEO is Diana Virgovicova, and then our dear CTO is Kerem. He is originally from Istanbul, Turkey.
So it's fascinating. So it's a very diverse kind of, just your founder circle alone is kind of this melting pot of kind of experiences. You guys all end up in Tokyo, and then you create this company out of essentially learning together on this trip. How long were you in Tokyo for?
We were in Tokyo for 3 months. It's relatively short, but it definitely helped us to really just get to know each other. And our team is definitely really diverse. So a fun fact is like I think we have collectively traveled to over 180 countries, just among the three of us. Although Diana, she is a global traveler, so she takes up the most of those credits.
Yeah. And so you guys just like, was water a passion for all of you? Was it for just you? And then you guys started to learn the different skills. Like how did how did X Atoms form? And what were some of your hurdles, and how did it form, and what were some of the hurdles? But let's start with how it was formed.
Yeah, so this is a research that was originally stemming from Diana. She is from Slovakia originally, and she also toured around Asia and saw black rivers, which motivated her to get into researching water. And at 17, she discovered one of the first materials that's just activated by visible light that can purify water and won the World Water Prize from the Swedish royal family with her research.
That's pretty that's pretty amazing. Can you elaborate what is black water?
Yeah, so black water is basically just very, very polluted um, water that is it's just a common term, like Black River, just like a common term that
Okay.
is used for like very polluted river, and because it looks like black in the river, so it's not like a really like scientific term. Yeah.
And you just hit on it for the first time, but really what you're talking about is water purification using kind of light as a catalyst, right? And and can you explain to somebody like me who's non-technical, like I study Latin American studies and I accidentally got into this waste to energies business, so like I'm
Hmm.
not engineer, not anything. Can you explain some of the benefits of having something that's photocatalytic, um, to purify water, and why that's better than something like chlorine?
Yeah, so like chlorine won't be like we're not like a complete replacement of chlorine because like chlorine as like a like the chlorine residue in the water can continue to like basically keep the water clean when during the transportation of water, especially as like water goes through pipes. So but as I said, the reason why like photocatalyst like is takes a huge advantage is because it can break down really complex contaminants. And so it's not only like the bacteria and the viruses, but it can break down herbicides, pesticides, as well as it can also eliminate heavy metals as well. This is like not an additive chemicals that you will be like consuming directly, but the catalyst because it reforms after the reaction. So we can put it as either intact to the surface as a coating of the material, or we can filter out the photocatalyst and reuse the material again and again. So it is reusable, which makes it more sustainable as well. Um, as on top of that, the photocatalyst material that X atoms use, we use only visible light activated materials, whereas a lot of times the industry standard is using UV, which consumes more energy.
And that's really cool. And I think we've kind of not really touched on it, but you guys have just been winning awards after awards after awards. And I don't think I've been able to say it to you personally since you've won, but are you a Forbes 30/30?
Yes, we are. Our entire team is.
That is so impressive. I'm very proud.
Thank you.
When we first met at Plug and Play, one of the things that kind of stood out was just how ambitious and excited you were about kind of addressing this need. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and the other thing is, I've mentored multiple startups. You guys were very fast on responding, taking feedback, and going forward, and also not taking feedback. And I say
Mm.
this in the best way possible. Is there are sometimes people provide a lot of advice from a
Mhm.
position where we don't understand the context, and you
Mm.
guys have just been really good at kind of taking the right information and running with it, and letting the kind of other information and other advice go to the wayside. So it was just one of the things that really impressed me when working with you, of just how professional and your ability to kind of adapt and move. And that's what got me so excited about mentoring you guys and being an advisor.
Thank you.
And you know, can you? This is going to be a little moment for you to brag, but can you kind of walk
Mhm.
through with just some of the awards that you've won over the past year? Your partners and investors who show off. This is your
Yeah.
opportunity.
Well, there's a lot that happened last year. I think so. Right after Plug and Play, we enter a $1 million competition called the Hope Prize competition. It's the world's largest social entrepreneurship competition with a grand prize of 1 million. And we made it to the top six global finalists. That was out of um, 20 teams that was competing for that competition. So I think although we didn't take away the grand prize, that is a little bit of a setback, also also encourage us to do even more in this past year. It was a huge motivator. And we have gone on raising our pre-seed round, and we have closed at over $1.9 million. We have also one of our first investors in Xatoms is from Alex Zohanian, the founder of Reddit, through the 776 Climate Fellowship. And then we have also was named under Forbes 30 Under 30 in North America under the manufacturing category back in December. And then we're also the youngest team that is on the list. And we also,
You know,
yeah,
it's like
it's quite a bit.
it's a series of mic drops. It's like you have Amazon as an investor, is that right?
Yeah, we also have we are also a part of the Compute for Climate fellowship program, which is sponsored by AWS, UNESCO, as well as International Research Center of AI. And we recently also got accepted by Google into their Google for Startup program as well.
Awesome. That's one of the things that's like so impressive is you have gone through all of these competitions and just slayed it, just
Thank
dominated,
you.
and it's really been impressive. What
I
is
think
yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I think it's a really humbling experience going to these competitions because it's not that we always win or we always get something out of these competitions, but or just like these awards, but it is definitely a recognition and like a good external validation for us, but also a time for us to really listen to feedbacks on how we can do better and really like not just be building the company internally, but also a source for us to actively see what the market reflects, what are some of the mentor reflects, and then how we can continue to improve and grow.
Yeah. And so tell me what's next on the horizon? What are you looking forward to now that you guys have closed your round, you're
Mm-hmm.
continuing these competitions? Is it, how do you get to the next step? What does that look like for you?
Yeah, so we have assigned a few pilot projects already in the pipeline that we are looking to execute on the pilot projects. We also expanded our team from just the three of us a year ago to now 12 full-time personnel at Xatoms. So we are very excited to build with this larger team and also to deliver on our pilot projects. We're always open to doing more explorations and especially getting more PO orders for our technology. We are just passing, as we pass like the pilot phase, we will be fully launching the technology, and also we would like to see how our application will work in larger industrial scale applications that's just beyond drinking water as well.
Great. For this is a what are you personally kind of what inspires you personally to do this and to grow from just an idea and being academic and cleaning water to commercial? Like what is that motivating thing that that takes you to the next step?
First of all, I think since joining, I really enjoy all the work at Xatoms because every day when I come to work, it feels like I'm working on something new all the time. There's new problem, new challenges, and new issues that comes up. What motivates me in the long run is really the cause, right? We are solving a huge problem. Water pollution is impacting over 2 billion people in the world. So that is a quarter of the Earth's.
Hmm.
I think the vision of making that number to zero is what gets me up in the morning every day.
That's great. That's great. And is there anything that like you want, is there anything that you want to personally accomplish, ignoring X Atoms, just
Mhm.
going forward? Like, what are you personally looking to do? Not just like a water perspective, but in a global perspective. How do you want to make your impact?
Yeah, I think I want to make my impact like measurable. And how I see myself making the impact is I want that my impact is actually measurable, actionable, and it is actually on the ground that is like impacting people's like day to day. I think on a lot like on if we zoom out a little bit, I definitely want to make impact as many people, I get many people to expose to our technologies or help as many people as possible in my lifetime. But I think just zooming in is like as an individual, like how can I even just change one person's life with my ability? So for example, like a lot of women and girls like still need to go and fetch for water even today, and they spend over like 2 hours every day fetching for water instead of like doing their education or going to school. So if I can even just change one person's life with my ability, I think I fulfill my personal purpose.
I think you hit on something really important there, and I think that is often overlooked is because we don't have kind of equal and clean access to water all across the globe. It means that these getting water and securing it is both a cost. Like in China, you have to buy it, right, versus getting it from the tap. Or in like Africa or something like that, it is literally people walking to go and collect it, and they're missing out on their education. So in a weird way, our water policy is going to change the way our education policy is, but also our financial and economic policy. One of the things that I see kind of so comparable to what I'm working on, and as I'm creating waste to energy, is there's waste everywhere. There are water demands everywhere. And in our own process of creating hydrochar, or what I call modern coal, one of the byproducts is water that we will need to filter and find a use case. But that also means that water can be localized where there's waste piles. And I think that's one of the things that people don't realize is that we are trying to address the problem at the source of the problem, and it then relieves a litany of other problems that people are just not necessarily thinking are correlated, but are actually directly correlated. Because for us to get that water, again, you're sacrificing education. If you're sacrificing education, you're limiting your ability to grow and support your community. Like
Exactly.
it's like this reinforcement that once we solve these problems, we open up other opportunities.
Hmm.
I know I've been gloating and super proud of you
Hmm.
guys. It is great work, and
Thank you.
and I think sometimes we undervalue that. Um, I'm gonna basically ask you one last question, and then
Mm.
we're gonna sign off. So the last question is, what are you waiting for?
I don't think I'm waiting for anything because I know I can act upon it. I'm very look forward to another year of just massive growth with, I think, both personally and with Xatoms. We're very excited to get this technology really up and running and commercialize it in the next year. And I think that is very exciting that's coming. And I think
Mm-hmm.
I am also very excited for making the impact on people's life with what I can do in my ability.
Yeah, no, I think that's great. Thank you so much, Shirley, for being on. I really appreciate it. This is What Are You Waiting For by Godot. I'm the host, Andy Weinstein. Thank you again. Congratulations. Really am proud.
Thank you.